Um, so first and foremost, welcome. Super excited for year three of Yoti. The first couple years have been great. Working out of the state park. As most of you know, that state park is closed for this entire year, so we had to kind of get a workaround to still have the race in the forest and just move the start finish line. And that's one of the most important things. We need everybody to make sure that you're going to the appropriate place. All the addresses have been updated on Ultra Sign Up, everything on Facebook, the newsletter, everything has the right address. But just to reiterate that it is a new location. It's on Clark Hollow Road. It's the state forest maintenance office or maintenance shelter. So there's a very large space for us to use, lots of parking. It's going to work out perfectly. And it gives us an opportunity to have a little bit different course. So just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. I think most everybody knows that, but there's also, I put in the email that I sent y'all today, but just make sure you're mindful of which direction you're coming from because I know there is part of Tar Hollow Road that is closed. I believe it's probably still going to be closed through next weekend. So make sure you are not coming through Tar Hollow Road. Most directions won't bring you that way anyway. Registration, we still have plenty of registration spots open. I think we have, I think 27 spots still open. Registration is down slightly for total numbers from last year, but we have more people in the 50K than we have ever had at Yoti. So, ultimately that's what we like to see is people running ultra marathons. So, that's a win, but we could definitely get some more people there. It would be great. Um, as far as I'm just going to kind of go through the newsletter and then we'll add anything else we need to there. Awards, everybody always wants to know about awards. We have top three male and female for every distance at this one. Sometimes on the short courses, we'll just do first place male or first place female, but this being a pretty challenging 10K, I think that it warranted some extra awards. And then everybody obviously gets your finisher medal from Wicked Skins. And then anybody that complete the 50K course in under 6.5 hours will win the Alpha Award. And this course is much more attainable for that 6.5 hours than previous years. So if you've been on the edge of that in the last 2 years, you have a really good shot at it this year because course is a little faster. We'll get into the courses in just a little bit. Um, as far as packet pickup goes, you guys all know we tend to do packet pickup on Friday nights between 4 and 7 at 50 West Brewing, downtown Chillicothe. Just a great spot, great food, good beer, and they're very, very accommodating. So 4 to 7 on September 5th, Friday, we will have packet pickup there at 50 West. And then, of course, race day morning, if you're unable to make it Friday night, we will have packet pickup starting at 7 a.m. So obviously you don't have a ton of time between packet pickup and the start of the race at 8 o'clock. So the more people that can come Friday, the better. Plus we get to hang out. But if you absolutely need to come on Saturday morning and get your packet, that will be available to you. Um, parking should work really, really well at the new location. The fields are even bigger than I remember them being. So unless, this registration really fills up and we have a ton of crew members or spectators show up, I think we'll all be able to park right around that main area. And then there are a couple smaller fields, within a quarter of a mile of the road that we can send people down if we need to. Please just follow the directions of the volunteers because again, this is a temporary start finish line. The Forestry Service was nice enough to let us use their property. So we need to make sure we're parking in appropriate spots. Um, what else? Race day, like I said, packet pickup at 7. The race starts promptly at 8 a.m. Everybody will start at the same time. All distances start together. Um, we'll do our pre-race briefing 20 minutes till 8. That usually gives you guys a quick second to use the restroom again if you need to. Then we'll do the pre-race prayer and national anthem. Um, the course worked out pretty cool this year. Starting from there, they kind of gave us some more options. So the entire first 25K and 50K, you'll be together the whole 25K. So there's not really a split this year, which helps alleviate some of the confusion. So once, the 50K runners come across the finish line the first time, you'll be able to access the finish line aid station and then shoot right back out for the second 25K. It's not the same loop. It just happens to be perfect spacing that you're just going to come through there before you head up a different trailhead. Um, this course is a little, like I said earlier, it's a little faster than years before, mainly because you're going to be using a little bit more of the forest roads this year, jumping from trailhead to trailhead. We tried to stay away from the state park in general, even though we probably could have got permits to use the trails. The fact that we weren't using the park at all, we didn't necessarily need to get a permit through the park, so we didn't even use the park trails. We used all forestry trails. So with that being said, we used a little bit more roadways to jump from trailhead to trailhead, but they come in like really opportune spots. So I think you're going to enjoy the reprieve when you get them because all the tough climbs are still in there. I promise you that. Um, we'll run through timing. All timing is gun timing for the start, and then chip timing for your finish. So if you really think it's going to be a 2-second difference between you and another person, get up front. Otherwise, it's not a concern. Conditions, weather, we really have no idea. I know Buck's on here somewhere. It's looking gorgeous. The forecast looks gorgeous, but you all know Ohio and looking at something 10 days out, it could be complete opposite, by the time that day actually gets here. But right now, weather's looking perfect. But be prepared for everything. I mean, there are some pretty technical parts of this course, lots of climbing. Um, some steep downhills, a little bit of everything in these trails. So it's a lot of fun to run. I had somebody just message me just a little while ago asking about trekking poles. I'm fine with trekking poles anytime after the first climb. Your first climb is going to be, roughly a mile and a half into the race. So it may be still a little too crowded to be pulling out trekking poles. Once you get to the top of that first climb, up to the fire tower, let's just say to your first aid station, no trekking poles until after that first aid station. And you won't need them anytime soon after that anyway. Um, what else? But again, conditions, just be ready for a little bit of everything. Um, Swag, everybody gets this t-shirt for signing up for the race. If you order the trucker hats, these are the trucker hats. Hoodies turned out really great too, and then we'll have a lot of other swag available both at packet pickup and start finish in the morning. The one thing I would say, if you did not order a hoodie with your race registration and you really, really want a hoodie, I advise you to go on Ultra Sign Up and go ahead and order one. If you go under the event page, the little hamburger menu, you can find store. And then so you can go in and buy any of the add-on stuff that way. Just because I only made like maybe 5 extra of each size. And they tend to go really, really fast. Usually they go on Friday night at pack pickup. So you've been warned on that. Um, aid stations. Okay, I have a typo on the newsletter, but there are 5 aid stations for the 50K. Where we got three total for the 25K. and then there's just a hydration station for the 10K. As far as the aid stations, three of those are fully stocked manned aid stations. The other two are going to be what we call light aid stations. So there'll still be water and electrolytes there, and some like packaged snacks. We're just not going to have the full menu out just because one, the placement of these aid stations are pretty close to the previous manned aid station that you just left. They're just the right spot for us to give you more hydration before you go through long stretches of running without getting to the next aid station, if that makes any sense. For instance, um, when the 50K runners get to, or 50K runners and the 25K runners, you're going to hit the Dogwood aid station around mile 9. So your longest stretch of the race is going to be from the fire tower at 2.5 miles to Dogwood at six, or excuse me, at 9 miles. So you got to look at the matrix, and we'll go through that a little bit more here in a minute. But even though you're only 2.5 miles into the race, it's going to behoove you to fill up on your hydration when you get to that fire tower the first time, because you just completed a super difficult climb, and you're going to have 6.5 miles before you get to the next aid station. So definitely top off, take a second. It's early in the race. You're not going to make or break your race in that first 2.5 miles. So definitely top off there. But then what I was getting to with the unmanned aid stations, you hit Dogwood at 9, and then you go down towards to Lipscomb Road, and it's maybe only 2 miles before you hit that next aid station. So you're probably not going to want a bunch of food because you just left a manned aid station. So there's just going to be hydration and snacks there, but nothing major. Um,
I'm going shopping tomorrow. If you guys have any special requests, let me know. I did a post today, so you can post it in there. You can message me, text me, whatever. I'm going tomorrow.
okay. Um, so I'll go through the matrix a little bit more real quick. Again, everybody's starting together. So you're going to have maybe a third of a mile on the road, and then you're going to shoot up Logan South Trail. Um, and that'll be, the first major climb. Everybody runs the first major climb together. Once you get to the top of the hill, you'll see the split where the 10K runners are going to turn and then come back down Buckeye Trail. So they don't go to the fire tower with you. So they don't actually have a full aid station for them to access. So everybody will see where the 10K turns right. You'll see that they're going to have a hydration station right there within reach. Um, the 25K, 50K people, there's no reason for you to use that because you're going to be at the fire tower main aid station in a quarter of a mile. I just didn't want to take the 10K people so far out of their way, or it wouldn't be a 10K. And I wanted to keep them in the trails. So there is a hydration station for them. Everybody else will be turning left, going up to the fire tower. So that's roughly 2.6 miles into your race. But like I said, please top off all your fuel or hydration at least there, because you have 6.5 miles to Dogwood. Then on this matrix it says 3 to Lipscomb Road, or we call it Dolan Aid Station this year because there's a campground down there. That will be your light aid station with just hydration and snacks. And then you have 3.5 miles to the finish and another good climb in there. So 25K is mostly all trail, except for maybe maybe a half mile total of forest road on the 25K. Then, so the 50K is running that whole same course, that whole 15.5 miles in the beginning. Everybody's running together. 50K runners will come through the finish line, cross the timing mat. Then you're going to continue to your aid station. And then right across the street from our start finish line is the entrance to the Buckeye Trail. And then you're going to head up the Buckeye Trail. Now you'll notice on the matrix that we hit the fire tower aid station 3 times. So it sounds super, super confusing, but I assure you we've kind of finessed this every way possible. We're going to have chutes. We're going to have, volunteers in charge of steering in either in the right direction. But this just gave us the best opportunity to give you the best race. So going up Buckeye Trail, you're going to end up back at the fire tower aid station. So you're actually, you're running the end of the 10K runner's course, that 3.5 miles, you're actually running the opposite direction that they came down. And then you're going to end up right where their water station was, or their water hydration station was. Back to the fire tower. From there, you have a long stretch on the road. So this is the first kind of reprieve that you're going to get for the day, is that 3 mile road section all the way down to Ridge Road. That's going to be your second light aid station. So again, make sure, when you're at the fire tower, you're filling up. Ridge Road, you'll get the, top off whatever you need to top off. And then it's just 4.5 miles back to the fire tower from a different trailhead. And then from there, you have, 4.5 miles to the finish line. Um, I just kind of went through that kind of crazy, so I know it's probably very, very confusing. I wish I could share, I should have shared my screen and showed you the map, but if anybody has any questions on the maps, we do have the GPX file. I've posted it a number of times. I can probably just post it or send it in a mass email like I did the invites for these. I'll probably go ahead and do that. It is not 100% perfect. The course markings are insane. We have pink flags, pink surveying flags. Well, there will be, over 1,000 of them on the 50K course. Um, and then there's yard signs. There's going to be run fluent, caution tape, a little bit of everything. We learn something new every single race of a, a different way that somebody can get lost, and then we do everything we can to prevent that way. So it's inevitable. I mean, somebody gets off course every race that we have, but the consensus is that we kind of overmark courses, which is what we go for. But I assure you, any place that there is a question, there will be signs and or the caution tape guiding you. Beyond that, you're just following pink flags. Um, except for the 10K, you'll be following yellow flags, but we'll make that announcement that morning too. Um, Huge shout out to all our volunteers. We've had a lot of help with the trails this year. Once you get out there and you're seeing this course, especially if this is your first time on this course, um, just take a minute to count how many freshly sawed trees that you see on this course. Because when I tell you there's hundreds, I'm not exaggerating. There are hundreds of trees that have had to be cleared off of this course. It's pretty well known. I mean, trees fall daily in Tar Hollow. The ground is so hard out there. I think the tree roots just can't get down in the ground. So every storm, there's trees down. But I think, the hurricane that actually made it almost to Ohio last year, or did make it to Ohio, made it 10 times worse. And they are actually out there right now finishing the final section of chainsawing. So James and Carl and Dave Huggins has stepped up and helped out a lot this year. Tim, all these guys are really, really pulling their weight, and then some. This of all events wouldn't happen without those guys. So we are still accepting donations to help contribute things to them. Last year we bought chainsaw and the string trimmers. This year we bought Carl. He was begging me for a backpack for his chainsaw, so we were able to get one of those from the donations that everybody gave at the big deal. And then when we host the trail days, the trail maintenance days, we're buying food for everybody and trying to help them out too. So these guys do all this stuff for free. And we just like to give back as much as possible. So if you guys like to donate to that, you'll be able to do that at packet pickup, or just like those hoodies, you can go on the store from Ultra Sign Up, and you can do donations through there too, but they do charge you their fee, unfortunately. Um, anything else?
No,
No?
not at all.
All right. We'll go ahead and open it up to questions, and then if there are volunteers on here, I think there are a couple. If you guys want to hang out, and we can go over any questions you guys might have. But at first, let's do just the any questions about the race specifically.
They're all good.
Wow, that's the first. Somebody's got
Oh,
one.
I do have a question. Can you hear me?
I
Yeah.
can.
Okay. I'm wondering, are you going to be running this course, the 50K?
Am I going to?
Yeah, it's previewing it before we start.
No, I always do. But this year, usually for Yoti, I come up for the entire week. This year, unfortunately, with the amount of PTO I have, my son graduates basic training the week after Yoti, so I have to take Wednesday through Saturday off for Yodi. Then I'm going back working one day on Tuesday, and then I fly to San Antonio and I'm off for another whole week. So due to my time constraints, I probably won't get to run the whole course, but I most likely will do at least the 25K as long as we get it marked and weather cooperates for marking.
So would your suggestion be just to follow the map that you're going to send us? My fear is always to get lost, so I want to defeat that before I start.
Yeah, I mean the GPS. Who is this, Alex?
Yeah.
You're not going to get lost. No, the GPX is very, very accurate in the fact that like it's not gonna get you lost. So if you want to follow it, you can follow it. Just don't. There are some sections down around Lipscomb Road. Like once you go all the way down that grass hill to Lipscomb Road and you're coming up through that up to Dolan Loop, those trails just are not on All Trails software. So I have to manually draw those in there. So if it's telling you, hey, you're supposed to be 30 feet that way, don't pay any attention to it because it's manually drawn in there. It's not the actual file because it doesn't exist on that software. But I assure you, the way the trails look this year, um, though, and how clean they have them cut, there's going to be no question on where you're supposed to be going on top of all the flagging and signs that we have out there. Anybody else? You guys are easy.
Are we,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
are we gonna have pierogies?
Of course.
We will use at the 25K mark and the finish line.
Awesome.
Every race now, at least at the finish line.
This might be a dumb question, but this is my first ultra. Is there any type of mandatory gear that we're required to have?
At this race, I mean, there's no necessary mandatory gear. I mean, if you have any questions or you want suggestions, I'll be happy to give you all that information that you need. I would say carrying at least a liter of water or hydration is very important. And electrolytes on top of just water. Because there's you're doing the 50K. I'm assuming you say it's your
Yeah. Yep.
ultra. So you're really, like I was saying when I was going through the matrix, 6.5 miles is your longest stretch between aid stations. But I will say that's a very long 6.5 miles. So I would prepare yourself, as if when to be able to carry enough stuff to run, a 10-mile tough trail, I would say, kind of to over exaggerate a little bit because from that point, then your longest stretch you're going to go is 4.5 miles. So as long as you're comfortable, running 6.5 miles with whatever you have on you, then you should be good the rest of the way. Um,
Okay.
you know, you can get into crazy details, but I mean, definitely trail shoes and hydration is the most important things I would think.
Perfect. Thanks.
You're welcome. And feel free to email me or text me or whatever, messenger me on Facebook, and if you have other questions. I love having first timers out there, so let me know.
Has that matrix been posted online or sent out?
Yes, it's in it shows like if you didn't, everybody should have got the newsletter. It's definitely on the event page. I'll have Evie put it in the features if she can.
What am I putting in the features?
The newsletter.
I was looking for Jason so that we could reach out to him.
Oh, okay.
What's your last name, Jason?
Here it is.
What do
Here, I'll
Oh,
just,
Flaherty.
Okay, I found you. Yeah.
I'll pen post. There we go. Buck, if you go to, I think, if you go to the Yoti page now, there's like if you go to featured or pinned posts, you should see like the front page of a newsletter.
Yeah, I see the Google Doc now.
Okay, there you go. And then the matrix is on the bottom of that. Now, those are all, the numbers that I get off of my software. So if we're off 2/10, nobody crucify me. Like I said, I haven't been able to physically be out there and run the whole thing this year. So, these are computer generated numbers between when we've run those courses before, the different, because we've run all these trails before and we know them very well, but just the exact, 10th, they're all ish. Any more
Hey,
questions?
hey, Chris, it's Laura. I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
It, are there any wonky directions or anything to get into the start line? Do they have roads closed or anything strange like that out there?
Yeah, Tar Hollow Road from the, what is that? Like Kingston side, I guess it would be. Tar Hollow Road from that side
Okay.
is closed. So just come through Londonderry and go down, what is that, 253 or whatever that road is?
Yes.
Yeah, come in that direction, you'll be good to go. Same way coming from Laurelville, you can come from on 253, or I think that's the number of the road.
Okay.
But yeah, and that's the closest to, that side is closest to the maintenance shelter anyway.
Okay.
Oh, 327. Thanks, Terrell.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes.
Start and finish line. So 50K is going through the start. Is that where our families will be able to hang out? Is there areas for them to like sit or set up, like things that I need to put back in my pack?
Yes, you're going to actually be running right through kind of the parking area. So once we get that parking all set, then if people want to set up, pop-up tents or whatever, they can. So yes, your family can see you there, and they can also, if you look at the matrix, they can crew you at the fire tower aid station, which is 3 times in the race. And they can also go to the Dogwood aid station. So if they wanted to, they could see you at 2.6, 9, 15 and a half, 19 and a half, and 27, and then the finish line. So it's pretty spectator friendly this time with us going through the fire tower aid station 3 times. It makes it a lot easier. There's only a few spots in the forest that have enough parking to accommodate crew getting there. But that's one of them that they can get to pretty easily. If anybody that's not familiar with the forest, it's very confusing when you first start going out there, but the fact that we're not dealing with the park takes away a lot of the confusion. But where we're going to be is on Clark Hollow Road, which is drivable. Clark Hollow Road goes up and over a hill and all the way across the other side. Up on top of that ridge, there's a road that intersects, perpendicular, called Ridge Road. Ridge Road is where the fire tower aid station is and the Dogwood aid station. So it's super spectator friendly. You just drive up Clark Hollow Road, turn right to get to the fire tower, or turn left to get to Dogwood. And that's it for crew members, having to find their way around. I will say for crew members, be very mindful that some of these roads are places where the runners are going to be running. So, stay alert because you'll see signs and you'll see flags, and anytime you see those, you know that runners could be coming. Who else is on here? Amanda. So, Mark, how did you not have any questions yet?
Nope, nothing so far.
All right, good deal. Well, I think that's it then, unless anybody has anything else. Again, you guys feel free to reach out to me. I don't leave here. I'm going to leave here Tuesday night or Tuesday right after work. So I kind of go off grid after that. But anytime before then, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out or post on the event page because, that kind of shares the knowledge with everybody too. Sound good? All right. If we have any volunteers on here that